Good afternoon, all. CamelbackTrading.org coming to you this Wednesday afternoon, September 1st. We're looking at window traders market profile of SPY, IWM, and QQQ. A little tired today, so excuse me if I make a few mistakes. For lack of a better term, I battled my ass off. We'll go over everything. Net, I lost about, $300-400 on the day, which I am very happy considering I was down over 15 grand at one day. I'll go over everything, what I did, why I did it, not saying it was right. Very interesting market. QQQs hit all-time highs today and go out with a price probe to the downside. SPY hits an all-time high today, doesn't get their overnight all-time high, and goes out with a downside price probe. So, talk about erratic price action when we hit new highs and then we go out with price probes to the downside. Look at Russell. Russell had an open and drive day. So they looked above yesterday's high, Russell, and drove down. Well, the opposite end of yesterday's low is the target. Look above and fail. They didn't get it, and then look what they did. Got above the opening and went trend up. So they end up with a double distribution day. They hold their single prints. So from L's low to the day's high and from E's high to the day's low, 2 separate days in the Russell. Very interesting. They took out last month's high, which was an inside month. Now, that's powerful, but keep in mind, they're in a 6-month balance. So it's not as powerful as coming out of an inside month above balance. Keep that in mind. QQQs, right now they're over all-time high, isn't a regular trading hours. Ours is still in the overnight. We barely got the all-time high. We got it by 4 cents, which, thank my lucky stars, is all they did, because I'll go over my trades. I didn't write them down. So, one trade, if you ever want to learn and talk about live webinar on a daily basis, well, this was it. Whether you agree with the trades or not, I walked the trading room and kept an even keel through this entire thing. So if you ever really want to learn what's going on, what the market's doing, why I'm doing it, even if I'm wrong, I tell you why I'm doing it. Come and spend the $30. I think it'd be well worth your time. So A period, I did nothing. It came down, filled the gap. I was going to take a long if we got yesterday's POC. We didn't. We didn't get yesterday's POC, or we didn't get the 30th POC, right? Until later in F period or G it was. But I didn't get it. So what did I do in B? B opened. We didn't get anywhere near the low, the high or the low of A. But remember, we had an inside day up yesterday. We came in and out of that, back and forth through it for 6 time frames before we finally broke through. Well, lo and behold, to me it failed, and I'm going to tell you why. Anybody who was long A through F, if they didn't get out, lost money trying to buy the inside day up. And then look at this. All these longs here. G, H, I in the beginning of J. Now, if they got out, great. But I'll tell you what. They didn't get out. How do I know? Look what transpired. Right back below yesterday's high. So the inside day to me up is a failure. Now, also, before I get to my trade, for my money's worth, just like yesterday, shorts pushing, and then look what we did today. Same thing today. Yes, J and maybe part of K are these longs getting out. But the majority of K, L, M is shorts pushing down. Now, we did go out with a price probe. So if we open below A's low tomorrow, these shorts are going to be very, very comfortable, and they'll keep pressing. And if we take out today's low, whoever's long from today will get out. But if we open above M's high tomorrow, for sure we're going back to our 8 wide POC. We couldn't even get 9 wide today. Amazing. We'll definitely go back to POC, and then we see what happens if we get back up to value high from today. I went a little ahead of myself. As far as my trade, so when B kept going back and forth through yesterday's high, when it came down, I took a put play. Took a size put play, 100 puts. The 454s. I bought them at $1.97, I believe. Well, lo and behold, they sat here, B, C, D, They gave me opportunities, but here's the problem. Because they expired today, even though they weren't going against me much, they were absolutely deteriorating. So each time we went up in C, each time we went up in D, and it pulled back, it was barely at what I bought them at. Most times it wasn't. Now, is that an excuse not to get out? Absolutely not. But even though we went back and forth through the opening, I was like, well, maybe we're going back and forth to yesterday's high. Maybe they're not going to take it. And then look at E. E period didn't even get the opening. But again, when it came down, they deteriorated. They were trading at from $1.97. They were down to about $1.80 at that time. So now I'm like, wow, I'm out $1,700 already on these things. I don't want to take them off, especially since we didn't take out the IB either side yet. Maybe we take out D's low and I get paid. Okay, those are all valid reasons to hold on to the 100. Where did that go out the window? When F took out A's high. Now buyers had higher value. We ended with overlapping higher, but at the time we had higher value at that time. One-time framing, well, we weren't one-time framing up yet, not until G. But we had, the value was higher. We were above the opening for now. We were above yesterday's high, so I didn't do anything. Now, believe it or not, we didn't get tempo. I bought 300 more. And as soon as I bought them, it flushed for me where I made like, I think 10 or 13 cents. But believe it or not, by that time I was out $4,000 on the original 10. So I was still out about $1,000 or $800. So I was stubborn again. I'm like, well, if we're not going trend, maybe we come back in. Well, that didn't happen. We went back up. I still have the 100, and now G pops. Now, I didn't do anything right away. We weren't getting a lot of tempo. I added another 300. So now I'm along 400 of the 454 puts again. And we start grinding higher. So now not only is the 100 lot deteriorating, so is the 300. I added, when we got to I's high, they were down to 97 cents. So I'm out $10,000 on the original 100 lot. I'm out probably I was out about $15,000 total. And I bought another 400. So I'm long about 800 puts. But it's not going anywhere. Now, it looks like, wow, you must have killed it. But we sat here for the rest of I and even the beginning of J. And so when that's happening, I'm taking the 400 that I had for pennies off. Because I'm like, I can't afford to have this sit up here. We got the all-time high now. We got last month's high. Are we going to go for the overnight all-time high like Q's did early? If they do that, I'm dead. Now, I know this video is long, but if you want to know why I do them and what I do in my room teaching people, then you'll listen to it. So I really took off a bunch between 3 and 400, literally between J's high and I's low. Made pennies on them. Now it started coming in. And then when it flushed real good down here, I took the balance of them off. And I got my loss down at that time. I forgot what it was. I think it was like 2,000 or 3,000. Because believe it or not, they deteriorated that whole time up there. Now, should I have held them? Obviously. But I told the room, here's another reason why I was buying so much back. And see if this makes sense. The range on the day at the time was only about $1.30 or whatever it was. It was small. I'm like, because we have higher value, maybe all they want to do is fill single prints here. That's what I was looking for. I said, because on that kind of range, what kind of a pullback are we really looking for? Are we going to all go back to POC here? I was hoping for that to happen, but I didn't know if it would. So that's why when it came in J and it just sat there, I'm like, I got so much of this back. I took them off. I got 12,000 back or whatever it was out of my loss. Obviously, I should have held them. Now, what did I do after that? I did nothing in K. I did nothing originally in L. And then I took a size call play of 300. I took 300 calls. I think it was 300. I didn't write it down. I think I took 300 the first time. And I made most of my money back. I was out like whatever. I was out $1,500. Again, I was still out. I did it again on when we pulled down again. I ended up getting my loss down to about $700. Now, was the right play to be shorting it this whole way? Obviously, but we did have overlap in a higher value. We did have an 8-wide POC. I thought the odds were still good to possibly go back to POC. And then I did one more call play in M that paid me some more. So net I lost $300 and something on the day. I know this was long, but I'm telling you what I did and why I did it. Now, as far as destinations, upside, we have the price probe, A's low, 451.82. Then we have, I'm not using 8 wide. I'm not going to ignore it tomorrow, but I'm not using it. Then we don't have anything to today's all-time high of 453.11 and the overnight from the 31st of 453.74. For the downside, we have today's low of 451.55. Yesterday's low of 450.92, 450.71, and then filling a 6-point gap from the 30th at 450.65 right here. Then we have 450.56, the price probe. 449.99 afternoon pullback low from the 27th. 448.87 to 02. Our trend day still holding from the 27th. And that's what I'll leave you with for now. So what really changed in the big picture today? Nothing. Nothing. Yes, the inside day up failed, but nothing changed. We had both sides of the IB. We had overlap in a higher value, and we're one-time framing up. So don't get too giddy if you're a seller, what you saw here. Oh, it's September. It's the worst month. Yeah, that's very possible. But we have to trade what's in front of us still. So unless they get below A's low tomorrow, and they might, maybe we'll gap lower, who knows. But unless something changes to put the daily back into balance, and you have to take out today's low to do that, nothing's changed yet then as far as I'm concerned. And then on the chart, so already day 1 of September, and we took out last month's high already. Who knows? Maybe we'll have an outside month down. Maybe we'll go up another $50. Who knows? Weekly, we took out last week's high already. Now, obviously, we have to keep in mind for outside weeks down. There's only 2 days to go in the week, but if we fail, who knows, right? 445.14 is last week's low. But again, nothing's changing in the bigger picture yet. It's up. And the daily, nothing can happen in the monthly or weekly until we stop one-time framing up in the daily. And we're one-time framing up for 4 days. And for all intents and purposes, this little gap is our main focus, because we can't get back into this balance until we fill the gap and get acceptance back below the 450.65 level. I hope you had a much, much calmer and less stressful day than I did. Have a lovely evening, and we'll speak prior to the opening tomorrow.